There we go. Microphone's on. Guys, what are we doing? I'm spending way too much time here in the day, like doing nothing in the day, right? I did nothing today. I didn't do a thing. Okay, let's get into it. We're on day 50, 55. Streaming every single day until Flashpoint 13 archive is complete. I think we're 871 games in, if I remember correctly. Of course, I could be remembering incorrectly, but we'll see. I have to make this a little bit more streamlined. Just get into it really fast. Yeah, day 55. We've done 100. No, we've done 885 games so far. And last time we left off on like gambling something. Don't gamble. Don't gamble unless you're willing to lose what you're gambling. Or don't gamble what you're not willing to lose. Don't gamble what you're not willing to lose. Today's advice. I don't even know if I have advice for today. Oh yeah, that's literally what I just said. So the advice for today is don't gamble what you're not willing to lose. That's I already kind of gave that advice yesterday. Or did I? I don't know if I implied that. It's in the YouTube description, but I don't know. I don't remember if that was actually something I said. If it would actually load, we'd be able to get into the games. But sometimes it doesn't load very well. We're on a hard drive. It's a good hard drive. It's Western Digital Blue. Like, it's supposed to be 500 megabytes a second. But is that like reading speed? Like maybe it's 500 write speed. Isn't it writing a lot slower than reading? I'd imagine that your reading speed's gonna be way faster. I think we could can't speak English. Yeah, I can't even do this microphone, guys. It's never quite the same. If I had some sort of locking mechanism I could just set on my arm and then actually just set it every single time, then have it perfect. I wouldn't know the first thing about doing that, so I don't think it's just a dream. Okay, we finished last stream with checkers, I believe, and now we're doing 2-4-7 chess. There might be enough time in the day to do the dream, because I recorded it as soon as I woke up. Let me just set that up quickly. I don't know. We'll see. If I do it at 1.5 speed, it should be fine. But I don't know how intelligible that is. Let's just see how it does, actually. Date. Created. The ancient nether stashes.
On my way to the overworld border, traveling within the nether, I came across builders. There was 2 or 3 groups of them that I came across. One was friendly, the other 2 were hostile. When I tried to negotiate them to allow me to pass, they didn't let me. They weren't like pavers, they were repair players. So they repaired the nether obsidian highways. And they had a bunch of resources on them. I tried to steal a couple strokers from them, but my inventory was full, so of course I couldn't really pick anything up. I had to act quickly and dispose of anything in my inventory that I didn't need at the moment. So I had to do that quickly. Obviously I couldn't do that. And I was killed twice. Thankfully I have lots of backup gear in my ender chest, so I was able to continue my journey, and as I have been making pit stops along the way, I have set my spawn at various places in the overworld along the axis that I'm traveling on, so I was just able to respawn at the last bed I had slept in. I think it was 1 or 2 million blocks out from the world border, which was like a couple 100,000 in the nether. I came across a section of the highway that was really badly destroyed, and there was also a staircase leading to the nether roof, and it intrigued me because there were very, very few places along the nether highway, or I should say in the entire map, let alone the nether highway, where there was areas that bedrock had been broken. As because the nether roof isn't really traversable, there is a a certain like border that you're allowed to go on top of the nether roof, but if you travel beyond that, like there's just it's a border, so you can't go any further than that. It used to be that you'd be teleported back down into the nether if you traveled too far out from the place that you pearled up onto, or if like you arrived onto the nether roof, you'd just be teleported back if you tried to exit, like tried to travel on top of the nether roof. Now there's just a border there, which is kind of a more recent development, so you're limited. But what I found must have been built before any of these limitations existed. It was a, well, it was kind of a vault, but it was a spiral. So it was basically, there's the center. It was basically a circle, and it was all made of netherrack mostly. There was some ancient debris in the wall and some other blocks for aesthetics. But it was basically a giant spiral going outward, and it was somewhat of a maze if you tried to traverse it. This was before Elytra, so it was way back in the day. Obviously, if you had an Elytra, you could just fly up.
I don't know how cohesive this is going to be, but because like I said, I recorded this as soon as I woke up. That's another chess one. Come on, or it's not chess, but I'm listening back now. It's kind of rambling. It's very nonsensical, but we'll just continue. And I'll put it on 1.5 because it's really slow.
What I didn't get is that there were skulk like skulk sensors. So not exactly sure how or why they were there. If there were certain mechanisms in place, like this was built way before Elytra or all the other stuff. But there was like the main structure of it, and then it was upgraded. It was maintained, and then it's kind of abandoned.
What? Children do this after up or out?
But there was what I saw at the top, like on the spiral. It was completely like leveled out and filled with blocks. Like there was no holes or anything. Like it was just a giant circular platform with one hole in the middle where I came from, that led back into the nether from the roof, and there was rows and rows of chests filled with nether items and everything, duped items. It was a stash with every single item in the game of Minecraft, as well as illegal items that should not be in vanilla Minecraft either. Items with insanely level high enchantments, weapons with custom model data. This was technically still vanilla Minecraft, but it felt modded because of the crazy number of items and sheer scale of it all. It was a giant vault. And when I got on top, I obviously didn't notice the skulk sensors, and I wasn't sneaking because I didn't think to be more careful. I was just so excited. I took tons of screenshots. And when I walked close enough to these rows and columns of chests, and it was like corridors of chests, corridors. They were decorated with blocks around the chests, and it was very beautiful. It was all nether themed, and it was gorgeous. Anyway, when I walked close enough from the edge of the hole, because there's a little bit of a buffer between the actual where the corridors started and where the hole was. When I got close enough, I triggered the skulk sensors, and that was kind of it. I just had to get out of there before I died because there was lots of TNT, lots of lava, lots of mechanisms, booby traps, and it basically destroyed every single item. And when that happened, there was some sort of summoning ritual that happened. Of course, I say that for the lore, but in reality, a bunch of players logged on, and their Ender Pearl stasises were triggered. There's probably 12 of them. A couple of them died in the TNT explosion. Obviously, this vault failsafe, I don't know if it was ever tested. Obviously, there was tons of TNT stuff left, so some of these players died, which was really good for me because if I wanted to escape with my life, I'd need less players on me. In my panic to get out, they had blocked the entrance to the nether roof access, so I wasn't able to get back that way. So I had to find new ways. I was flying around trying to avoid explosions and chaos. So I traveled deeper into the maze, the spiral. So it was basically just kind of the roof of the spiral where there was like a flat plane of blocks where the vault was on top of, but basically the whole maze was still intact. So I was trying to traverse it, and the place where I was, this pocket, this hole, where it was basically just a pocket inside the maze. Like it wasn't the center. It was like an access point. There's several of these. If you zoom out and you look from a top-down view, there's like several of these holes throughout the maze where you can access the maze through the nether, like with the nether roof access. And there were so many chests and so many shulker boxes. It was insane. So I was looking for an exit when I found the center of the maze. There were people on me trying to kill me, and obviously they had tons of gear and stuff. I don't know why it didn't teleport them instantly to the, at least these players. There was another chamber within the center of the maze where there were extra teleporters for players to engage with any intruders. But to the players from the main stash followed me, or chased me rather, to the center of the maze.
where there was this fountain of shulker boxes, and these shulker boxes were filled with illegal items, even more powerful than the ones in the stash. They were basically stacked armor, stacked weapons, stacked totems, and they had max enchantments, like level 255 on each piece for every enchantment, and there was so many enchantments. And somehow they had figured out how to use the totems were reusable somehow, so I don't know how that worked. But the totems had Unbreaking on them, Unbreaking 225 or 255, which allowed them to be used over and over again, even though they were stacked at 64. And that was just the totems. The armor were stacked to 99, and the tools were stacked to 99, and there were so many things stacked to 99, which is impossible. And most of them were unstackable items that were stacked to 99, and your max stack size is 64, which I don't know why the totem followed that rule, even though totems are not stackable, just like tools and armor and other items. So I had found the jackpot essentially, but the stash had been destroyed, and all the items had been burned up, destroyed. And the players that had spawned in into the inner vault with these elite shulker boxes full of items, they were defending it. They were trying to pick them up to leave because they were still valuable enough to keep, but they still needed them. Like the stash they can go without. This is just one stash, but the core essentially with all these special illegal items are like a lot more valuable than multiple stashes combined. So that's why they tried to rescue them, save them. There was a timer, of course, to destroy the inner core if they could not get out safely. Then that will be destroyed as well, hopefully along with the intruder. They had multiple escape routes and stuff that only they knew about. I was able to break and collect one of these boxes, and I opened it, and it was full of tridents stacked to 99 with infinite enchants. Basically, they were so powerful. So I killed a couple of them, and they realized I was stronger than they were, so they kind of fled. I don't know what the difference was. Like they had old gear. I had netherite gear. And of course I had newer server stuff. I had a few other things that were newer things that I don't think they had in their vault. And not all of it was more powerful than what they had, but I guess some things were just enough that they didn't want to risk it, because like they usually, so I've heard, like this is just myth and lore that has circulated, but so I've heard that these groups of people they're kind of just one big faction, but they have different groups throughout the server, and apparently there's hundreds of these stashes, but they're so hidden that no one can find them, and I was so lucky to stumble across them. And obviously they wouldn't be stupid enough to hide them within, a certain number of millions of blocks within spawn, so they're all pretty far out, and because the world is so big, they can make a ginormous radius with each stash spread, I don't know, millions, tens of millions of blocks away from each other, because the world is 30 by 30 million blocks in the positive and negative directions of Z, so technically it's 60 million by 60 million blocks, which is an insane number. Anyway, because they can, so they had lots of stashes, or so the lore goes. They were like some of the first players who had ever played on the server, and every year they log on to duplicate and get more illegal items that have been introduced into Minecraft, like vanilla, new items, stuff like that, and they expand their stashes. Yeah, that's kind of the gist of that. But anyway, I'd killed a couple of them, and they realized that they might not survive, so they just fled with what they got, and so all that was destroyed. And I got a few of the illegal shulker box items, so that was cool. And then what happened next? I don't really know how or why, but all of a sudden I was kind of in a different place, like I was transported somewhere else after I'd exited the stash core. I guess it had blown up or it got destroyed because the timer, was up. So anyway, I was kind of transported to a different place in the server. I don't know where I was. I suspected that I was still in the Nether, but the atmosphere was different. It seemed like I might be in the end. I didn't know if I was in the end, in the Nether, or the overworld. There were kind of signs pointing to all three, but I didn't know which one was the correct one. And then there was an old man who has claimed to be, he used to be part of the stash, like coalition, whatever faction, whatever you want to call it. And he had a wife who was also old, but she was still part of it, kind of, and he was kind of her prisoner. Not sure why or how. But like, I guess this was technically still in the Nether. I don't really know how they did it. I mean, okay, I don't know if it shows in the Nether or the End or the Overworld. Like, I don't know how they did it, because this place that I was in was linked to whatever stash I come from. I suspect that there's multiple places just like this one that had been linked to other stashes throughout the map, throughout the server. But basically, to me, it just looked like I was kind of teleported, or the stash kind of just disintegrated around me, and this place was revealed, and I was in a completely different place. And so this old man was in prison, held by his wife, who was still a part of the stash. I'll just call them the stash faction, which is a very lame name, but who cares? The stash faction. I don't know what their goal was. Like, I honestly didn't know what was going on. But the old man was kind of talking to me hushly because his wife was kind of hard of hearing, so we had to talk in quiet voices. And obviously, he hadn't played on the server in a long time. So last time he played on was very, very long ago. That's kind of why he was so old, but also why he had limited knowledge to Minecraft at this time. Basically, he told me, carry the resources in your inner chest for traveling and stuff. And I don't, like, certain resources, like, I guess, like, to put it into perspective, there's an example here. Carry oil and water, right? Because you need to water is an obvious given for traveling. You need lots of water, and then there's oil for lighting your lamps and stuff. This is just a modern day example. This is not what actually is in the game, but carry lots of these resources for traveling because if you're traveling really far, you're gonna use a lot of it. So I'm like, well, that's kind of done. Nobody does that anymore. Like, what are we talking about? And I showed him all the new technologies in the server that we had that we could use in place of those things. That he was telling me to carry lots of, and like, oh, you're already an experienced traveler. I guess I don't really need to teach you anything. And I'm like, yeah, I've been traveling for a very, very long time. Basically, ever since I got on the server, which was many years ago. Or, well, relatively fairly long time ago. Like I'm not a newbie, but I'm not like I'm not a legend or I'm not like a prophet or a saint or whatever you want to call them. But I'm not like an old player. But I've been on it for a few years, so I know what I'm doing and I know how to use new items and stuff like that. So he told me that I should get my ender chest set up if it wasn't already set up. And his assistant, I guess she was an assistant. She was kind of the guardian of the vault too, but she didn't really do anything. She's kind of like an AI. She is a bot or some sort of program which is like a player. She acts like a player, but her code is unique in that she can access anyone's ender chest. Obviously, she can't take anything or do anything, but she can view anyone's inventory, anyone's ender chest. It's kind of crazy, and she's kind of a player, but I don't even know if she's a real player or she's just a program. My first impression was she was obviously a player, but if she's a player, how is she able to access and see my ender chest? So the old man kind of directed me to her. After, well, first he did direct me to her, but first, before I was on my way to her, he kind of showed me a stash underneath his cell. I say cell. It was like a giant bird cage with gold, and it was luxurious. But he was still trapped, so he couldn't leave. But it was still luxurious. But he showed me a stash under his own cell, and he gave me some items that I would need. And they were not like tools or armor or anything like that. It was like ancient items that had been lost to the server many years ago. Certain items you just can't get anymore because of, well, grief. I don't know, like people have made certain items just vanish and they're just gone now. Like server plugins, I don't really know. Server admins, I don't know. Pirates, I don't know. Like players or people who just eliminate certain items from the game in this server, I don't know. Like they were gone, right? But he had them, and so they were like really ancient and very, very valuable. Not in like the sense that weapons and armors are valuable because they're useful, like because you need them to defend yourself and attack. This was a little bit different. I didn't really know what it was or what it was supposed to do, but he said it was very valuable and that it would help me save the server or something. I don't really know what he was on about, but anyway, he directed me to let's call her stash bot, because technically she's a neutral bot, but she's like used for helping the stash faction so I'm assuming there's multiple copies of her or instances of her throughout the server where she's able to what's the word I'm looking for? She's able to help the stash.
FlashGames247.com. The future of gaming now.
I didn't really got in any way, shape, or form. I assume building stashes, organizing stashes, maybe even in part doing the stashes, but I didn't really got that far. She was kind of helping me with my ender chest, and she looked inside. She's like, "Oh, you're pretty much full of that. There's not really anything for me to teach you." Kind of like what the old man said, but she was just inspecting it to make sure everything was good. I was going to survive because if your ender chest is empty, you just not really stash.
I'll just pause that now because this music is really loud. How do you even do it? Oh, it has to be the right color. Oh, that's too much power. I don't know if you can even understand what I'm saying in that. The AI, like Notebook LM, was able to understand it for the most part. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I actually don't know if you can understand that. If it's easier to understand, if it's faster, if it's slower, I don't know. It made sense when I was recording it because, I had just woken up. But you can definitely hear me slurring my words a little bit. Oh, now there's no music? What the fudge?
Faction so I'm assuming there's multiple copies of her or instances of her throughout the server where she's able to what's the word I'm looking for? She's able to help the stash faction in any way, shape, or form. I assume building stashes, organizing stashes, maybe even in part duping the stashes, but I didn't really got that far. She was kind of helping me with my ender chest, and she looked inside. She's like, "Oh, you're pretty much full of that. There's not really anything for me to teach you." Kind of like what the old man said, but she was just inspecting it to make sure everything was good. I was going to survive because if your ender chest is empty, you don't have much backup here, and you're going to make bad decisions. Like you're not going to survive for very long. I don't know. So it's going to be stacked. Lots of pots, lots of experience, and stuff like that. And pots are short for potions, like strength potions and stuff like that. And there's so I stored my valuable stuff like the super tridents and the things that the old man gave me. I stored them in my ender chest, and then I was on my way. I didn't really know what I was supposed to do, but he said that the items that I had would help me. I don't know what they were talking about, so I just kind of went on my main way to go to the world border like I was doing from the beginning. And this was the nether world border, which, if you don't know, the nether is 8 times smaller than the overworld in terms of traveling. However, in reality, the nether and the overworld are exactly the same size. They're each 30 million blocks
10 minutes,
on positive and negative, so 60 million blocks squared. They're each 60 million blocks squared. However, traveling 1 block in the nether is equivalent to traveling 8 blocks in the overworld. So they have the same border size, 60 million by 60 million, but traveling to 3 million 750,000 in the Nether gets you to the overworld border, which is way less than 30 million. But if you do travel to 30 million in the Nether, you're going to be at the world border, or the Nether border. But if you make a portal there and you go to the overworld, you're not going to be outside the border. You're still going to end up at the border. So if your goal is to go to the Nether border, don't go back to the overworld unless you are absolutely certain like there's nothing you want to do there, because your portal is not going to link back, because that's tens of million blocks difference. Because you can only go, the game only lets you go so far in the overworld, right? So if you're making a portal in the Nether, that's 30 million blocks out from spawn. You'd be creating a portal in the overworld, which is 8 times that. Well, so 160 million blocks, but the border in the overworld is only 30 million blocks in each direction. So you're just gonna end up at the world border in the overworld if you make a portal at the Nether world border. So yeah, make sure there's nothing else you want to do at the Nether world border before you go back to the overworld. That's kind of what I didn't do that though. I just stayed in the Nether and I looked for more stashes. It's kind of weird this portion of the journey ended. I didn't really know what to do with it. The old man said that the items that I had would guide me. I don't really know what that means. Like, was I supposed to destroy these stashes? Was I supposed to give these items to the people of the server? Wouldn't that crash the economy? Wouldn't that? I think I was leaning towards destroying them because it would cause imbalance. And if they existed, and only very few people who actually played the server congruently actually knew about these stashes and used them regularly. I guess they were part of the modern stash action. I don't really know. Obviously, there were some players that had illegal items and stuff. So I guess that was the only thing I could think of that tied these things together. So I set out on my journey to find and destroy every single stash, and of course keep the good items for myself. What I later found out was that the items that the old man had given me were clues to more clues, essentially. When I had collected all of them in the set, because he only gave me a small portion of the set, but when I collected all the items in the set, they were scattered through various stashes. But every single item in the set kind of made a sort of compass or like finding system. It was weird, but it was basically a method to track down certain items, and these were in every stash. And these were not part of the destructive system. Like, they didn't get destroyed, but they were still hidden very, very well, and no one could find them unless you had these things, this set of items. So I went on my way finding every single one of these special items. I don't really know how to describe them, and I don't know if I can share it here, but let's just say if I acquired all these items from every stash, all whatever number that there are, hundreds of stashes, I could basically become a god on this server. And I didn't really know what I would do with the power once I got it. I told myself I'd destroy it, but I don't know if that was the case. These items are indescribable. And there's many close calls. I almost died multiple times. I did die a couple times, aside from the close calls. The close calls are nice because it's like you get adrenaline, whatever. You don't actually die, but I did die a few times, and that set me back a little bit. But thankfully, my inner chest was stacked, so I just keep on trucking. And then I'm on my last stash right now, just looking for this god piece for the set of tracking items I have, and don't really know what I'm gonna do with it. Like I said, I told myself I'd destroy it, but I don't know if that's the case. This is kind of where I'm at. Maybe I'll update when I find the last god piece. I don't know. I don't really know what else goes from here. Maybe I'll return to the old man and tell him my journeys. The AI has, or the stash bot has appeared several times. Helped me, hindered me. I have come to realize that there's different versions of her. Like, there's neutral, there's good, and there's evil. At least in terms of working against my goals. Or rather, working in League or against this Dash faction. That's kind of all I have. She's been helpful. I still don't know if she's a player or a bot. It's so hard to tell. Maybe she's just a player with a special role. I assume once I have the last god piece, I'll be able to do extraordinary things. So maybe I'll use it before destroying it, just to see how it is. Obviously, there's a risk of being consumed by power, but I think it's a risk I'm willing to take because I'm not easily corruptible. But I have had other goals too, or still goals. Like I've made it to the corner of one world mortal in the overworld at 30 million blocks out from spawn. But it is my goal to go to every edge, every corner. But that would take so long. Because it already took me so long. E-bouncing is so slow on large scales. I can roughly travel 100,000 blocks to 120,000 blocks every hour, but imagine, like, that takes so long. Like, it'll take almost a year to travel to the Nether border just on e-bounce. So if I can somehow use these god pieces to teleport me, or I don't know, travel really fast to the borders, I can do that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. There's nothing else to say really. Good luck to anyone trying to stop me. I'll try not to become evil. That's kind of all I have. Yeah. Maybe I'll update once I conquer the world or something.
So that was the dream I had last night. I would have recounted it normally, like with myself here, but that has a lot more detail in it, and it would have been kind of hard to do that. Like, obviously I could like give some basic bullet points, but it wouldn't have necessarily been 100% accurate to how it actually happened. And that's where the dream ended, when I was about to do something. Like, it could have gone anywhere from there, so that's how I ended it. And we have 4 minutes left in the day, and I think 4 games left, so let's try and hurry this up a little bit. Black Queen. Black. I don't know if we have a Black Queen. There it is. Black Queen. There we go. We're on the roll here. We're going crazy. That was uncalled for. Actually, I don't know if we're going to win this at all. Red Queen. I don't even know if we have red queens here. We might just lose this. That's number 1. Yeah, I think we just lost, guys. Sorry. Next one. Yeah, 3 left. 3 minutes left in the day. Okay, I've been cutting it way too close. If I actually just streamed it, like, at a good time, I should have just actually streamed it, you know, like, in the day. Granted, I did wake up at, like, 6 p.m., so... Oh, the ace is the higher one. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I'm just like, if I actually streamed in the day, that would be good. Because then I have lots of time. We'll probably just do 1 round. Our ace is set for last. That was so dumb. What I just did was retarded. Oh, my days. Why did I bet 11? Holy moly. I'm not going to win this at all. That's actually stupid what I just did. Oh wait, black is higher, right? So I should have done one of these spades on the red guys. I'll be honest, I don't know how spades even works. I just know that I lost. So that's the advice for today. Don't gamble what you're not willing to lose. That's crazy work. Oh, there's 1 minute left in the day, guys. I'm gonna actually have to breeze this, guys. It's Sudoku. Yeah, we're not completing Sudoku. Let's just get 1 column or 1 box done. Alright. Oh, I don't even know if I can do that. 8. Okay, Bro. Okay, that was exceptionally good. That was correct. Then again, I could have put an 8 there, right? Okay, there we go. Obviously, I could have solved it, but it just took so long. Okay, we're almost there, guys. Obviously, it's gonna come out like on. Okay, now the day's over. But that's 14 games opened. I don't know why I'm even doing that. Like, it doesn't matter.
It's 0 hours.
No, it's not. Is it like the freaking all in, guys? I don't know how to play this game, guys. I'm sorry. Oh, that's 14 games down. Yeah. So we did. I don't even have to justify. We did stream yesterday, or a couple minutes ago, which was Sunday. Now is Monday, but who cares? I'm not even gonna mention it anymore in the future. That's the games today. We played 14 of them, and yeah, that's all I have. That's all there is. That's all there is.